Did the Lakers championship victory just seal a victory for Donald Trump in the election? There's a lot of history behind it. I'm going to tell you what it is and why I think it's going to happen. Also, coming off a devastating loss in the finals, GM Pat Riley of the Miami Heat are laser focused on picking up one player. I'm going to tell you who it is and how they get it done. Recently released running back from the New York Jets, Veon Bell, is on the free market. He says he'll sign with one of 3 teams. I'll tell you who I think he's going to and why it's going to be a good fit. You have found the place that helps you be smarter than your friends when it comes to sports. Let's start the show.
You're tuned in to the hottest sports analysis of the week with your hosts Ron Dolbeck and Chris Roberts. And now, here's the first round.
It's Zach, Chris, Ron, and you joining us here in the first round, talking about everything going on in the world of sports. And athletes are amazing. Let me show you why. This last weekend, NBA Finals, Kendrick Nunn, 6'2" from Miami, blocking the crap out of who I think is the NBA's most valuable player, Anthony Davis, taking it to the rack, and he says, I don't think so. Oh, get that out of here. That's not happening, not on my shift. 6'2" Anthony Nunn telling Anthony Davis where he could put it. Of course, Davis and the Lakers take the trophy, but this goes on the highlight reel for why I think athletes are amazing. Did you check out the Los Angeles Bolts and Keenan Allen? This catch was over the top. Check out this move. Herbert puts it in only the place where Keenan Allen goes up, and he can get it. Tiptoes on the sideline. Look at the concentration. He grabs it right there over cornerback Carlton Davis of the Bucks. Oh, that had to be the catch of the absolute weekend. Herbert puts this pass exactly where it needs to be. Keenan, totally focused, goes up. Focused, snatches it. That's a catch. Moving on to tennis. How about some clay court action? You ever heard of Michael Yamir going up against Djokovic in the French Open? Check out this hit. Hustle, through the legs. Oh, it's a kill shot against the #1 player in the world. Yamir puts it through his legs, and he ends up getting a standing ovation from Djokovic. And this has to be the highlight from the NFL of the absolute week out of all highlights. It comes as the Titans are taking on the Buffalo Bills. Derrick Henry sweeping off to the left. Josh Norman in pursuit. Derrick Henry says, I don't think so. Why don't you take a flying leap, Chief? Stiff arms Josh Norman back into his signing days when he made a big money contract. Sends him flying. Absolutely trucks Josh Norman. That had to be the highlight of the week. Check this out. He's like, I got the corner and I got you with one hand. Sends it back to 1975 and keeps going. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I'm not a big fan of Josh Norman. This makes me a bigger fan of Derrick Henry, running back from the Titans, doing it. That hit. Oh, I don't even call it a hit. He just picked him up and threw him like a rag doll, Chris.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that move right there just takes you back to a day of watching a wrestler toss around one of those rookies in the ring, man. He just threw him. Ugh.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah, man.
Randy Macho Man Savage. Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to take Josh Norman, and I'm going to throw him out of the ring with Miss Elizabeth. Yeah.
Pretty much that's what he did. He threw him out of the ring to the Hulkster.
That was such a great play. Chris Roberts joining me on my left for a year now.
Yeah.
A year. It's a little over a year. Oh, hold on. Oh, what were you going to say, Chris?
Yeah, man. Ooh, good drink, man. Nah, but we've been here for a year, man. We've been doing it. We've been rocking for a year.
So it's interesting and odd to me at the same time how a certain percentage of the emails, and I said this a couple shows ago, people are more interested in what I'm drinking each week. Today it's organic apple juice, organic peach juice, a little bit of cinnamon, and then somebody snuck some vodka into my drink, and I don't know who that was, but I'm not really arguing with it.
I understand that. I mean, I wish somebody snuck some vodka into a drink I had too, because I'm still trying to figure out why in the world is the NCAA trying to put a case in the Supreme Court to stop paying these athletes. What's going on? I mean, really, man. I'm like, either you're paying him or you're not.
I'm not for paying him. I'm an old school guy. I'm not for paying him. But what I am for is talking about everything going on in the world of sports. Let's get it started with what I think is the biggest story going on right now. I'm going to start in college football. Nick Saban, an athletic director at Alabama, Greg Byrne, both test positive for COVID-19. Saban says he'll be fine and announced that Steve Sarkisian will coach Alabama this Saturday against Georgia. That's one of my big monster picks of the week. You'll want to stay tuned for that. How about Florida LSU in the Swamp this weekend? Postponed, not happening. This after UF announced 18 players tested positive for COVID-19. Florida shuts down their program this week and hopes to be ready for next week. They're going to take on Mizzou at the Swamp. Big games this weekend. Pitt goes on the road to take on Miami. I had it last weekend. You had a winner if you listened to me. They went on the road to Clemson and got whitewashed. This is going to be a tight game. The spread is too big. I'll tell you who my winner is. Auburn goes on the road to South Carolina. Another tight game. Speaking of tight games in the SEC, how about Kentucky goes on the road to Tennessee? Tennessee looking for a big bounce-back victory after getting railroaded last week in Athens by Georgia. Louisville goes on the road to Notre Dame. This game is going to be closer than the experts think. I'm going to tell you why I like Louisville in that one. Texas A&M coming off a monster victory at home in front of about 80,000 people that Kyle Field that only holds 112. They go on the road to Mississippi State. Again, another tight SEC game. I'm going to tell you who I like in that one. Boston College and Virginia Tech, and the game of the weekend. Georgia goes on the road. They've had this one circled since the end of last year to take on Alabama. I think this is a monster game. I think the spread is way too big. I'm taking Georgia, but I'm going to give you the reasons why. NFL news. Atlanta shuts down their facilities due to COVID outbreak. It is a monster NFL weekend. You know, this is the most bipolar weekend I've seen in the NFL in a long time. You've either got games like Washington taking on the Jets, and somebody has to win that one, or we've got the Bucks taking on Green Bay from Tampa. Other big games happening. I told you about Green Bay, 4-0 going on the road to take on Tom Terrific. How about the Browns and the Steelers? I think this is a big precursor to who is going to win that division. I've got a definite favorite on that one. Rams going up to take on, how could we even say the hapless 49ers at this point when they were in the Super Bowl? But that's exactly what they are. I told you last weekend, take the fish plus the points. They went into San Francisco and absolutely demolished the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo is not worth the contract the paper is written on at this point. Rams go up there. They're given 3 points. I'll tell you who I like in that one. Chiefs and Bills. Two of the better teams in AFC. I'm looking to make a pick on that one and to check out that game. I'm highly interested in it. Cards and Dallas. Dak Prescott goes down. Dallas has one of the worst defenses ever. Not in the NFL. Ever in any sport. Kyler Murray, I think, goes in there and goes off. Major League Baseball news. Dodgers score 11 runs yesterday. In the first inning, they end up beating Atlanta 15-3. Atlanta's up in that series 2-1. Clayton Kershaw goes tonight on the bump for the Dodgers, hoping to square that series at 2. Tampa sends John Curtis to the mound, looking to close out Houston tonight. We'll get into that. Also, in NBA news, the Lakers win their alleged 17th championship. I don't know. When I look at the Boston championships, all the banners say Boston. They don't say Minneapolis and Los Angeles, but Chris and I will get into that. They take down the Miami Heat Sunday 106-93. LeBron James wins his 4th Finals MVP. James now just 2 behind Michael Jordan, who won 6 Finals MVPs in his career. Other NBA news. Clip joint. Steve Ballmer signs Tyronn Lue, 5-year deal. I think this is a bit of a grab. He doesn't have a lot of history. He does as a player, but not as a coach. Chris and I will get into that. Bleacher Report announcing tonight Pat Riley and the Miami Heat sole focus on 2020-01 will be to sign one player, and who is it? It's Giannis. Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee, the 2020 MVP in the NBA. That is going to be their sole focus, is to get him signed. And lastly, MMA news, Conor McGregor comes out and says he will leave retirement which he's been in twice now, to fight against Diamond Dustin Poirier January 23rd. The UFC has not finalized the details yet, but Conor says he wants the fight. He wants it in AT&T Stadium with his friend Jerry Jones, and he's willing to do it first thing next year. That's everything going on in the world of sports. Chris.
Yes, it is. It is a lot going on in the sports. We got a lot of football. We got a lot of basketball, even though it's over. We got some baseball. We got some MMA, man. We got it all tonight.
Yeah, let's put a bow on the NBA season right now and wrap that up. As much as I hate to admit it, the Lakers won the championship because I hate them, and I hate them because I'm a Celtic. But I'm here to say one thing about this championship. This is the 12th championship for the Los Angeles Lakers. 12. I don't want to hear that they're tied with the dominant history foundational team from Boston. When I look up at those Boston banners, it says Boston Celtics on every single one of them. It does not say Minneapolis. And I'm going to tell you something. Listen, the Lakers are counting championships from Minneapolis from 49, 50, 52, 53, and 54. In 49, the championship that they're counting as one of their 17, it wasn't even from the NBA. It was from the BAA. It's a BAA championship. Basketball Association of America. I didn't even know these people existed.
Come on, Ron.
No, I'm not going to come on.
Give them their championships, Ron.
Okay, here's the thing. They move from one city to another, but they want to take the championships with them, and you think that that's okay.
Give them their championships. Yeah. It's no different than the Rams or the Raiders or anybody else who moves from city to city.
It is completely different. Okay, you know what? Go Google Houston Oilers. You and I remember when the Houston Oilers were in Houston. Yeah. Earl Campbell, the little Derrick on there.
Yeah.
And I love their colors.
Yeah.
Go Google. So they moved.
Right.
They moved to Tennessee, became the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
New city.
Right.
New name.
Right.
New helmets, new emblems, new everything.
Right. Go
Google history of head coaches for Tennessee Titans. You know what you're going to get?
You're going to get Eric. You're going to get Fisher.
Mike Malarkey, Ken Wisenhunt, Mike Munchak, and Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, that guy.
See, it doesn't go back and count the guys that were coaching in Houston because that's a different team.
Come on. Didn't Kareem play on that same team, though?
Yeah, he did.
And didn't Kareem play on that?
No. Excuse me. Kareem played for the Milwaukee Bucks, and when he saw that they weren't going to win,
right, and
LA was going to have success, he said, I want to get traded to LA. That's what happened. He never played for Minneapolis. He played for Milwaukee.
He played for so I mean,
see,
look,
it's starting to get thin.
It's starting to get thin, but I mean, you have to give them the championships. It's the same.
I'm giving them this championship.
It's the same franchise, though.
It's not.
Yeah. It's the same franchise. It just moved. It's just like
this isn't a popularity contest.
It's the same franchise.
It's like the Baltimore.
It's
like the Baltimore Colts moving to Indianapolis. I mean, it's the same franchise.
Yeah, as long as the core pieces of the team are together, just because they move a city, don't mean they can't count all the championships that team won.
So when the Baltimore Colts left and went to Indianapolis, did they take the world famous band, the Colts band? No.
I mean, the Colts band stayed, but
they stayed.
But it doesn't matter. It's the same team.
No.
Same team.
No, I'm calling man code on this one. It doesn't work. Other NBA news: Tyronn Lue signs a 5-year deal. I think that's a little too much. If you couldn't win a championship with Doc Rivers, now you think you're going to do it signing Ty Lue?
The Lakers did it with Frank Vogel.
I don't know. You're right, but I don't know. Maybe you're right, Chris. I think it's a stretch. Am I wrong? It's not a stretch?
It's not a stretch. I mean, Tyronn Lue he's a good coach. Just looking at, what he did with Cleveland, with LeBron. I mean, but now he has Kawhi Leonard. He has Paul George.
Right, but so did Doc.
But being that he was a former player like Doc too.
Right.
But I think, with Tyronn Lue being from a younger generation, I think he's able to reach these players and actually bring out something. Hopefully they bring out something to Paul George as he's heading to
that Doc wasn't able to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a little bit of a stretch. I don't know. I mean, it just goes to prove that the NFL and the NBA, when it comes to coaching, it's just a retread. It's a retread. What is it called? The thing that
Yeah, treadmill.
It's a retread treadmill.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved
Billy
to see.
Donovan leaves OKC. He goes to Chicago.
Yeah, I would.
Mike D'Antonio leaves Houston. Now he's being linked with the job opening in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see Mark Jackson go to that job in L.A., to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think, being that he was a fiery player.
Yep.
And
you and I have been super high on him.
I've been high on him. I mean, high character guy. I mean, I believe he comes from that pedigree where he's tough-nosed guy, and he takes no nonsense, but he's able to bring the best out of his players.
Yeah. Let's go to the NFL. NFL news. We talked about Le'Veon Bell out as the running back of the Jets. It just never worked out there. Maybe that's because it really never worked out the last couple of years that he was in Pittsburgh. I think this guy is a bit of a head case myself, but that's just me. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, 3 teams that he's interested in: Kansas City, Dolphins, and the Bills. I don't think the Bills are a good option. I think that they're moving in the right direction, and to bring in somebody that I consider to be kind of a head case, I don't think that's a good move. Brian Flores has Miami going in the right direction, but they could use a running back. If he can get his head right, he lives in Miami. He's been keeping himself in shape. That might be a good move. If I'm Kansas City, I can see him going there, but honestly, why do I want the headache when I've got everything rolling exactly how I want it rolling if I'm in Kansas City? Why does that management, why would that coach, why would those other players want to bring a guy in that hasn't done anything for 2 or 3 years and brought down several of the players and the locker room in Pittsburgh? I just don't see it.
I actually love to see Le'Veon Bell in that offense. I'd love to see him in that Kansas City offense. I mean, to be honest with you, Andy Reid has a history of taking players like Le'Veon Bell, such as Michael Vick. I mean, nobody wanted Michael Vick at the time when he played for Philadelphia, but he was able to take Michael Vick and actually turn him back into like an all-pro player. So I think that's a good fit for him at Kansas City.
Well, we'll see how it pans out. Big games this weekend. Let's get it started with Zach's favorite team. He's sitting there with his terrible towel. They're going to be at home taking on Cleveland. The Kardashians are actually looking pretty good. They're getting 3.5 points. Here's the concern if you're a Cleveland fan. Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, and OBJ all listed as questionable for the game on Sunday. Now, they're coming off a big victory, as big as it can be, over a Dallas team that couldn't stop any offense in the NFL. They're so incredibly bad. I don't want to get into that right now. I've got a bet up on the big board there with our boy that Cleveland goes farther or has a better record than Pittsburgh. I'm taking Cleveland on this one. I'm going to tease it up and get 9.5 or 10 points. If it goes to 10, I'll drop some money on that. I'm going to take Cleveland, tease this up, take the 10 points. I think that they're on the right trajectory. Look, I know what Baker Mayfield is. He's out covering up all the furniture before it rains and making commercials. But they have so much talent. Even with Nick Chubb being out, I think they get the running game going, and I think that they get a solid, close, hard-fought victory in Pittsburgh. They've got to start making a statement. If they're going to be better than Pittsburgh, you got to go there and beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I love the way Cleveland is actually playing this year. I think Baker Mayfield has finally, found his niche. I mean, he's getting the ball to his receivers. I mean, OBJ is actually having a fairly decent season, compared to the last couple of seasons. And I think that, this is the time of the dog pound. This is Cleveland's year. I think Cleveland gets it done this year. Gets it done against Pittsburgh this week, too. Now,
I know Zach is he's going to want to say something about this. Here's the thing. We're going to find out who's real. We're going to find out if Cleveland is real. But you know what also we're going to find out? We're going to find out if Pittsburgh is real. Pittsburgh's 4-0 right now. No, they're 3-1. Were they 4-0?
They're 4-0.
Okay, they're 4-0. But those are wins against a hapless G-Men team, Philadelphia, who couldn't find their way out of a phone booth, the Broncos, who aren't very good, and the Texans. They haven't beat anybody of substance. They haven't beat anybody with a winning record. The total combined wins of all the teams that Pittsburgh has played is 3. 3. So we're going to find out. Look, I'm not saying Pittsburgh's not for real, and I'm not saying they don't have a shutdown defense, but we got to call it what it is. They haven't played anybody yet. We're going to find out what they're made of, And I'm saying equally on the other side, we're going to find out what Cleveland's made of.
No, that's true. But you gotta also think though, the Houston Texans, the beginning of their schedule, you had us, the Ravens, and they also had to play the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
So
murder.
for them, each of the Steelers games that they had to play, their opponents were coming in with the mindset that they had to win because they're already coming in losing streaks. So the Houston Texans were 0-2 when we played us, so they kind of had a must-win. We beat them. And then even with the Philadelphia Eagles, they were 1-2-1, and this was kind of like one of their games where they needed to come back and win, and we had to play up because I think they were playing better than the previous games because they know they're going to get into a hole, and we still had to take
Pittsburgh's laying 3.5. Who are you taking with the spread?
I'll take Pittsburgh.
All right, he's laying the 3.5. You?
Yeah, I'm taking the dog pound. I'm going with Cleveland.
I'm taking Cleveland. I'm teasing it up. We'll see how it plays out on Sunday. Talk about playing for the old bucket of spit. I said at the top of the show, there's either amazing games this weekend or there's games that make you want to just throw a brick through your brand new 86-inch 4K TV, which I might do. Having said that, 0-5 Atlanta is taking on 1-4 Minnesota. Somehow somebody in Vegas has Minnesota given 4 points in this one. This is the game that somebody has to win, and I'm taking Atlanta. I'm taking Atlanta on a teaser. I'm teasing it up to 10 points. The Falcons can score if they blow games. They don't want to win games. They don't want to show up to games. They want to play head games. They want to do everything but win NFL games. And having said all that, I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons to get their first win of the season going on the road. I'll take the 4 points, Chris. Chris, you look phased tonight, Chris. Is something going on?
Yeah, man. I'm going with Atlanta. I mean, I'm so glad Atlanta got rid of Dan Quinn. I was actually, about to get out and like break dance and get on the floor and spin around on my head. I was so happy they got rid of Dan Quinn. I mean, let's see what Raheem Morris can do with this defense. Hopefully he can get it turned around somewhat where they're playing a little bit better against Minnesota. I'm taking Atlanta to take the win this week, though.
I'm not 100% sure. Is that game still scheduled to play? Because I know there was players, I think, on Atlanta's side that had
scheduled
COVID.
as of right now.
As of right now?
Yeah.
Huh? We'll see about that.
Speaking of going from the gutter to the penthouse, how about my 4-0 Green Bay Packers going on the road to play Tom Terrific, laying 1 point. I am laying the point. I've been riding Green Bay all year. I am loving this game. My interest level is through the roof. Excuse me. This is a great matchup between Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the NFL right now, I believe, and the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. I'm taking Green Bay in this one, and I'm laying that really skinny, thin 1 point on the road.
Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay in this game simply because Tampa Bay has so many injuries. I mean, you had Chris Godwin that still doesn't know who's going to play right now. Right now, it's listed as questionable. And then on top of that, you also have Mike Evans, who is also dinged up as well and hasn't really, been the Mike Evans that we've come to know.
Not exactly
over
all
the season.
pro this year.
Right. So even though Green Bay does have some injuries in the secondary, I think Green Bay finds a way to pull it off.
I think you're right. Another good game out there. 4-1 Los Angeles Rams going on the road to take on last year's Super Bowl contender, the San Francisco 49ers. And it's like how the mighty have fallen. They almost seem like they're in disarray. And I know Garoppolo's been hurt. I know Kittle's been hurt. I know Raheem Mostert, their starting running back, has been hurt. He hasn't been 100%. I get that. But everybody's got injuries at this point in the season. San Francisco's getting 3 points. I told you last week they were going to get bombed by the fish. That's exactly what happened. They looked absolutely pathetic. There's nothing telling me that Kyle Shanahan has got this ship turned around and righted in the correct direction. I'm taking the Rams. I'm going to lay the 3. And what I really want to see out of them is to establish the run to open up the pass. Running back Darrell Henderson, and he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Frankly, get him and get Cam Akers going. Get that running game going to open up the pass and then throw over that coverage. I like the Rams in this one, even though it's kind of going on the road, 5 hours up the coast there in California. I'm taking the Rams to get it done.
I mean, how big was that loss of Emmanuel Sanders from the San Francisco 49ers now?
Yep.
That loss is big, and it's coming back to bite them. I mean, I mean, can you even name another receiver on the San Francisco offense? Exactly, and I think that's coming back to bite them. I mean, the loss, the fact that you lost Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, he's now with Drew Brees, and I mean, he's putting up decent numbers now. But yeah, I'm going with the Rams in this one. I just think that San Francisco has too many injuries on offense and defense to get it done. I think the Rams pull it off.
Talking about, I'm having some chicken kung pao or something. It's pretty good. Oh, what's it called? Orange chicken?
Orange chicken, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm having. San Francisco lost to the Eagles. That's a bad loss.
Yeah.
Lost to the Cardinals. Okay, that can happen. Lost to the Dolphins at home. Can't happen. The only wins that San Francisco has are against who? Do you know?
Nah, I haven't.
What if I said their only wins this season, coming off a Super Bowl appearance, are against the New York Giants and the other team from New York, the Jets?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about finding out where you're really at with your team? It's going to happen this weekend when the Rams come knocking on the door.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
because if they're not ready, we know Sean McVay is going to have the Rams ready. That defensive line is going to be ready. I think that Jared Goff is going to be ready. If San Francisco's not ready and they don't game plan the right way this weekend, they can get waterboarded real easy in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to find somebody, too. I mean, because, the Rams secondary has also been playing off the charts. I mean, with the addition of Jalen Ramsey, which this guy's only allowed 27 yards the last few games. I mean,
that's crazy.
27 yards the last 4 games, 27 yards. So, I mean, you're going to have to find a way to get something off, man.
Yeah. Let's go to another game on the big board. Chiefs giving 3.5 at the Bills. Wow. Chiefs have wins against the Patriots, Baltimore, a good Bolts team, and Houston. They've got the number 11 defense in the NFL. They go on the road to the Bills. Here's the Bills win. I'm all into these analytics this week on who you've played, who you've beat, margin of victory, all that stuff. Bills, they beat the Dolphins, not impressed. They beat the Jets, no one's impressed. They beat the Rams, but that was a very close game at home that they could have lost. And they beat the Raiders, and I don't really know what the Raiders are yet this year. They're kind of bipolar. They got a big win against the Chiefs last week, that's fine. But then you lose at home to a New Orleans team that can't seem to put it together. Whatever, I don't know. Like I said, we're going to find out this weekend who's who and what they're really made of. Bills, overall defense, not as good as you and I thought it would be this year. They're 22nd in the NFL overall. I think the Chiefs come out with their hair on fire. I think they right the ship with the defense a little bit. They scheme up a way to get after Josh Allen. They're only laying a little tiny 3.5. That's it. I think the Chiefs get it done on the road. I'm laying the 3.5 straight up.
Well, I think the Chiefs actually come out and actually blow the doors off of Buffalo. I mean, looking at the way Buffalo played the other night against Ryan Tannehill, where it seemed like they couldn't find any type of scheme to stop Ryan Tannehill. I mean, the guy rushed for touchdowns. I mean, they actually made Ryan Tannehill almost look like Patrick Mahomes the way they were playing the other night. So, I mean, I'm looking for Kansas City to come back, right the ship from that loss last week, and I'm looking for them to actually pull away from them, to be honest with you.
Blowout.
Yes.
Yep, well, I could see it happening. I mean, we saw what the Chiefs did. They didn't look good against the Chargers. Within 7 days of that, they go to Baltimore on the road, and they just literally blow the doors off. Now, Baltimore came back in the second half, but that game, for all intents and purposes, they were on life support at halftime.
Right.
Yeah, so I could see that happening. Last game on the board I've got is the Cardinals going on the road to Dallas. Now, I'm going to spend about 5 seconds talking about the Cardinals here. They're laying 1.5 points. I like Kyler Murray. I love having D-Hop at wide receiver. Kenyon Drake is serviceable. When he came out of Alabama, I thought he was going to be the next fill in the blank. It hasn't worked out. He's good for about 4.5 yards a carry, maybe about 4 yards a carry. But I need him to take his game to the next level and establish himself as a preeminent running back in the NFL and the number one starter there in Arizona. And that's it. I'm not talking about Arizona anymore. What I am going to talk about is the team they're playing. Dak Prescott absolutely got his legs snapped back like a Pez dispenser in last week's game. He's on the mend. He's been on social media this week giving 2 thumbs up. I'm not getting into the contract situation. I'm not getting into his value, his worth, none of it. What I'm going to get into is the insane asylum that is the Dallas Cowboys right now. They have the worst defense in sports. I didn't say the NFL. The worst defense in sports. Andy Dalton has won 0 playoff games.
He won one. I think has it won one? I think one.
I don't think so.
I think
He was with the Bengals those Marvin Lewis years. I'm willing to put my $10 on. He hasn't won a playoff game. But
Yeah.
Dallas's defense, no shock, is 32nd overall in the NFL. Third down conversions. They're last. But here's the question. What percentage is the conversion rate they're giving up on third downs?
Who? The Dallas defense?
Yep. If you've got a third down against Dallas, what's your chances?
I think they're giving up over 66%. I think it's
48%.
48.
Half
Plus-
the time. You got a 3rd and 22, flip a coin. You might convert.
Wow.
That's how bad their defense is. You want to talk about punt and kick returns? They're 32nd in the league. Scoring defense, 32nd in the league. Overall defense, last, 32nd in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think Andy Dalton has been around long enough to establish himself as a known commodity in the NFL and a winning quarterback. I like Kyler Murray. I like the direction Arizona is going in. I'm only laying a little tiny 1.5 points. I might just tease that and get the 4.5 or 5, but I'm liking Arizona in this game.
Yeah, I like what Cliff Kingsbury is doing in Arizona right now with Kyler Murray and Hopkins. I like what they're doing, but I think Dallas is going to have to more or less lean on Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he has feed me on his stomach. Dallas is going to have to feed this guy if they were planning to get some wins this season, because you can't really depend on the arm of Andy Dalton. I mean, the Red Raider. I mean, this guy, he just can't get it done. I mean, to me, his arm has never been the strongest. I mean, granted, he has weapons with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. He has
Still,
those,
if you can't get them the ball,
but he has to be able to get them the ball. And I think just because of their defense is so horrible, I mean, they're going to have to play possession ball games, so they're going to feed Zeke. But I think Arizona gets it done.
I think Arizona gets it done too. Now, my monster 5-star millennial NFL pick of the week. I'm taking the Patriots on a money line shot straight up and down against Denver. Drop all the money you got. Patriots, Cam comes back, Stephon Gilmore comes back. For as much as they're winning, and you look at who they've played and how close those games have been, they had Kansas City on the ropes. They almost won in Seattle. I don't think that they're that far off. I've got them to win less than 10 games this season, but that's because they have a monster schedule. I mean, they're playing everybody that was in the playoffs last year. And this isn't a homer pick, but my 5-star millennial pick this week is the New England Patriots straight up on a money line bet, no points, against the Denver Broncos to get it done at Gillette. And having said that, we want to thank all of our almost 1,000 subscribers. Last week, we got 4,000 views on our show. We really appreciate it so much. Check out the First Round on social media at the First Round #1 on Twitter. Also, you can be a part of the show. You say, Ron, how could I be in the studio? I'll tell you how right now. You can email us at thefirstraundrd@gmail.com, or better yet, you can be a part of the conversation by adding your comments at the bottom of the page of our show. We will answer comments and questions from the emails almost every week. I forgot to write them down this week. But tell your friends about the First Round. Help grow us to epic proportions. Hit the subscribe button right now. Better yet, go a little farther over to the right and hit the notification button. You'll be notified from YouTube every single Thursday when we put up new shows. And if you've missed any of this show or old shows, you can go on YouTube and check out our archive videos there. Excuse me, Chris. College football.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
We have college football.
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm thankful for this. You know, there was a guy here locally in Gainesville today on the local Homer channel who was talking about all the backpedaling the SEC has to do because they're rearranging some games. Some games have been postponed.
Right.
And he was talking about how brilliant the Big 12 and the Pac-10 or Pac-12 look because they stuck to their guns. You don't think that they're going to have COVID cases when they start playing? You're out of your mind. It only happens in all the other conferences. Nobody else is going to get it in the Big 10 or the Pac-12. Games aren't going to have to get shuffled around. I mean, this guy was like out of his mind. I'm not going to say who his name was, but he definitely needs to start breaking the Prozacs in half for breakfast because it's like the last two brain cells were fighting to come up with a good thought, and that wasn't it. Having said that, I'm thankful that we have college football. I'd rather, you're going to have hurdles to overcome in college football.
Right.
These other schools are out there trying to make it happen and figure out how to solve the puzzle. Whereas the Big Ten and the Pac-12 just threw their hands up and were like, this puzzle's too hard. We're not going to try and figure it out. Where would we be if we didn't have any college football or NFL right now?
We'll probably be pulling our hair out right now.
Right.
Waiting for the NFL every Sunday and Monday or Tuesday or whenever they decide to play.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, next year. The NFL isn't going to do spring football. And I'm not exactly holding my breath till spring football comes around. I get to see Harvard take on Dartmouth because the Ivy League just started, came up with this brilliant idea to get football. Okay, hey, at least they came out there and they're trying to get it going.
Right.
The Pac-12 didn't do that. Oh, you guys made it work? Well, let's piggyback off that. I'm not going into all that. I want to get into the games this weekend. Byu takes on Houston. The number on this one is 62. That's the over and under. I'm going over on the 62. I think this is going to be a close game. Both these teams have really high-profile offenses, I think. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I like BYU just by a little bit because Houston's only played one game, and BYU's played a couple. I like BYU really close in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to take those Cougars from Provo, Utah to win this game.
Well, some Cougars are going to win.
Yeah.
Let's get on to a little bit more of a significant game on the lineup this week. How about Pitt, 3-2, the Fighting Narduzzi's, going on the road to who I said was overrated Miami UUU. They were so overrated. I said they weren't ready for prime time last week. It absolutely happened. They do have the 12th best offense, the U, in college football. 232 yards rushing. I like that. But Pitt's getting 13.5 points. And Pitt has, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Pitt has the third best overall defense in college football right now. Defense wins games. I think they have a good quarterback in Kenny Pickett. He's not going to light it up against the big teams like Alabama. He's not Mac Jones. He's not Tua. He's better than serviceable. He can make the tough throws when he needs to. I think he does just enough with that tough Pitt defense going down to Miami against a semi-exposed, a little overrated Miami U Hurricane team. I think Manny Diaz has his hands full against Pitt. I'm taking Pitt plus the 13.5 all day in a close game.
Miami, you guys, you let me down. I stood up for you last week, man. I said you would lose, but I didn't know you would lose like that. I thought you guys had a little bit more fight in you.
Nope.
Exactly. You let sunshine push you around the field, but no. I like what Pitt has been doing this year. I mean, they've been able to actually throw the ball a little bit more than they have over the last few years. But I think Miami comes back, and I think they pick their pride up and they win a close one.
I think it's going to be close, too. Speaking of sunshine, number 1, Clemson goes on the road. They're going to take on Georgia Tech. It's a 27-point line, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to lay the 27. I'm probably being an idiot here, but I'm taking Clemson. I'm not even teasing it down. I'm going to lay the 27. I like Clemson on the road to get it done big. Tight games in the SEC we talked about at the top of this show. Kentucky goes on the road to Tennessee. Tennessee coming off an embarrassing, if not discouraging, loss to Georgia in Athens on the road. Tennessee's laying 6. I'm taking Kentucky plus the 6. Give me your quick pick on that one.
I'm gonna go with Kentucky on that. Tennessee. I mean, you kind of disappointed me last week. Thought you had a little bit better, more fighting as well.
I think it's going to be a close game, and I'm taking taking Kentucky plus the 6 points. Kentucky offense top 20.
Yeah.
Top 20 offense right now. Auburn goes on the road to South Carolina. Bo Nix is not living up to the hype status coming out of Auburn. I think he's a serviceable quarterback, but their defense isn't there. They got absolutely boat ran by Georgia on the road. I don't even care. It's not a full stadium. I'm not impressed with Auburn at this point. Gus Malzahn is bipolar. They're either really good and he's got that high-speed offense going, or you don't know what you're getting. I think they lost too much on defense. South Carolina's getting 3.5 points. I'm taking it all day long. I love South Carolina plus the 3.5.
Yeah, I like the Fighting Champs. I mean, it's unfortunate for Bo Nix. I mean, that you had to switch your offensive coordinator going into your sophomore year. I mean, when you show you had promise passing the ball. But I think South Carolina gets it done.
I do too. Notre Dame coming off a win against your Florida State Criminals. Louisville comes to touchdown Jesus this week, getting 16.5 points. Cards have a top 30 offense. What's impressive about them, believe it or not, is their defense is top 30 also. Cards are getting 16.5 going into South Bend. I'm taking Louisville plus the 16.5. I'm not sure if I want to tease it or not, but I feel comfortable with the 16.5 because I don't know what I'm getting with Notre Dame's defense, and I think that it's a case of they're playing to the level of their competition a little bit last week with a Florida State team that barely got by Jackson State. Give me this 16.5. I'm taking the Redbirds.
Yeah, I mean, I like Louisville in this game. I like it for them to be close. I mean, I think Louisville's defense will be able to seal the outside where Florida State will actually didn't do last week. But I think Notre Dame and Ian Book pull off a close one.
Texas A&M coming off a big win against Florida last week. Last-second field goal to get the victory at Kyle Field where they had about 175,000 people. I mean, there was absolutely no social distancing going on in that game. But whatever. They're going on the road to take on the Pirate at Mississippi State, who is absolutely bipolar. You come out and kill LSU.
Yeah.
Then you have two bad games that make you look like you're in the bottom of the SEC West. Mississippi State at home getting 6.5 over Texas A&M. But I'm taking the Pirate in this one. I'm going with Mississippi State plus the 6.5. I think their offense bounces back, and even if they don't win, I think they're going to keep it close. Give me the 6.5 points in the Bulldogs.
Well, I take the guy from our old regime in Tallahassee to win this game. I think what Kellen Mond showed last week against Florida, even though Florida's defense was like Casper the Ghost, non-existent. Yes, I think Kellen Mond comes out, has another big game, and pulls off a win for Texas A&M.
Well, see, I don't believe in Kellen Mond, but he had a great game last week, that's for sure. That chicken's good. Let's go rapid fire. BC goes on the road to Virginia Tech. BC's getting 12.5. First-year coach, solid quarterback, getting 12.5 points. I'll take BC. They're going to grind out an ugly game, but I'm taking the 12 points.
Yeah, I take BC in that game as well.
Let's go to the biggest game that I think is on the board this weekend. I'm talking about Georgia. Kirby Smart going back to play kinda against his old boss, Nick Saban, who won't be coaching on the sideline, but he's going to be in a booth somewhere, and Sarkisian's going to have a beeper or something in his ear. Georgia getting 6.5 going on the road to Alabama. Alabama's defense last week was so bad, it looked like a crack addict having a heart attack trying to fight their way out of a phone booth. It was disorganized. It was not well planned out. They could not stop Ole Miss. And you could say neither did Florida, but Florida's defense isn't that good either. Right now, Alabama's got the 30th best defense in the country, and they're giving up almost 300 yards a game passing. That doesn't sound like Nick Saban to me. What I like about Georgia, 5th best defense in the country, we know that. But they've found a quarterback in Stetson Bennett. I think he's a game manager. He's not explosive. I am teasing this one up. This is my college football 5-star millennial pick of the week. I am taking Georgia on a teaser plus 12.5 on the road. I think their defense keeps it close against a high-powered offense with tons of talent and Mac Jones. Steve Sarkisian is an offensive guy. He's going to be the head coach of the game for Bama. But I think Kirby keeps it close. I trust in Kirby, even though I'm a Gator. I'm taking the 12.5 points in Georgia.
All righty. So all jokes aside, as long as there's no cocktails around, I think the shark pulls off this one. I think Nick Saban and the guys actually pull off a good win. I think Mac Jones has just enough to actually win against that defense as well. And also, I'm looking at Najee Harris. We're going to see a big dose of Najee Harris in this game as well.
We saw it last week.
Exactly.
You want to talk about a game where there was absolutely no defense at all? Ole Miss at home last week. We were sitting there watching the game. I had a big money line bet on Alabama just to win straight up. Forget cover.
Right.
Forget cover. I was just hoping they would win. They pull it out in the fourth quarter, but that's because they got one stop finally in the fourth quarter against Ole Miss. That's what's concerning me. I know what I'm getting with the Alabama offense.
But
it's the defense that I don't know what I'm getting.
But I mean, when you're playing a guy like Lane Kiffin, who just recently left Alabama a few years ago, who knows all of Nick Saban's tricks, ins and outs about the defense and how they actually move and how they operate, you're gonna see some things, even though there were probably some wrinkles in there somewhere. You're going to see somebody
Kirby,
that was
an ex-disciple of Saban. He was on that staff.
He's an ex-disciple of Saban as well. But,
he was on that staff.
But, I mean, the thing is with Lane is one of those guys who's
crazy.
Who's going to play mind games with you.
Right.
And that's what he did all last week. He played mind games with Nick Saban.
All right, the line is 6.5. What do you tell me where you're going with it?
I'm taking Bama. I think
Bama. Lay the 6.5?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I could see it happening, but if I'm getting 12.5 with the fifth best defense, got to give it to me. Major League Baseball news. Not going to get into Major League Baseball other than to say Tampa and Houston tonight. I think that's going to be a tight Game 5. I think Clayton Kershaw bounces back in Game 4. They go 2-2 against Atlanta, and then you got a 3-game series. In a 3-game series against Atlanta, I like the Dodgers pitching better. Check out our Major League Baseball playoff special this week. We're dropping about a 10-minute video. Chris and I will go in-depth into the ALCS and the NLCS. Won't give our World Series predictions, but that will be next week. Let's move on to MMA news. Conor McGregor, coming out of his second retirement, verbally agrees to fight one of my favorite fighters, Dustin Diamond Poirier, who he fought already. Oh, man. Was it 2014 they already fought? And Conor left hand bombed him to death, getting an absolute knockout, put him to sleep a minute and 48 seconds into the first round. I don't want to make a prediction on this right now. Conor says he wants to see it happen at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Okay, but it's going to happen. They've verbally agreed. It's a January 23rd date. Any interest in this one yet?
Not really. I mean, because Conor McGregor's really started to remind me of Floyd Mayweather, who keeps coming in and out of retirement.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing the guy come in and out of retirement. Either you're going to fight or you're not.
That doesn't bother me. I just want to know what I'm getting.
Well,
and fighting against Cowboy doesn't tell me what you got.
No, it didn't. I mean, he got in there and, elbowed the guy 40 seconds of game.
Yeah, 45 seconds into it. I knew what I was getting with Cowboy. I don't know what I'm getting with Conor. Conor goes in against Poirier. I think Dustin's a tougher fighter now. And I still don't know what I'm getting since the Khabib fight, frankly, from Conor. I really don't know what I'm getting. Next weekend, though, you know what we're getting. Khabib against Justin Gaethje. Khabib 28-0 going up against Justin Gaethje, who is 22-2. I think this is going to be a monster fight. On top of that one, on that card, you also got Robert Whittaker from Australia fighting. Right. He's tougher than nails. And you've got Rafael Dos Anjos. His best years are in the rearview mirror, but he's still tough. I still think he's a quality fighter. It'll be entertaining, but the real thing is Khabib and Justin going at it. I'm going to be really interested to see that one. By the way, also in MMA, kind of boxing news, UCF has to sign off on Conor boxing, and now he's talking about wanting to box Manny Pacquiao. Interest level, Zach, on 3. 1 to 10. 10, you absolutely have to see it. On 3, Chris. Give me a number 1 to 10 on Manny Pacquiao fight against Conor. 1, 2, 3.
-5.
I was going to say 3.
3, 4, and -5. Who's going to promote that nonsense? I have almost no interest in seeing that fight at all. And having said that, What else is going on in the world of sports, Chris?
Well, what's going on in the world of sports is the NCAA has now taken to play in the parent role of giving everybody a trophy by allowing every team to play in a bowl game this year. I mean, who wants to see a 1-10 Florida State play against a 3-7 LSU? Who wants to see that? I mean, I don't want to see that. Brian, do you want to see that?
I don't want to see Florida State play ever.
I'm just saying, who wants to see something like that? Come on, guys. Come on, NCAA. Do better than that. Just give us a college playoff.
Wow, everybody gets a trophy. And that's a good segue because that music can mean only one thing. It's time to thank our support staff. The man on the board, Zach, getting it done with his terrible towel back there. Big game this weekend, man. We'll see how it goes.
Go Steelers.
Co-host Chris Roberts, El Presidente Chet 40 for all of us here in the first round. Thank you for joining us. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification button, leave comments and questions underneath right down there. We will get you on the air next week, and we'll be right back here every single Thursday, including next Thursday, talking about everything going on in the world of sports. Until then, take care of yourselves, everybody.